Lake Mead Cruise to Hoover Dam. Hoover Dam, once known as Boulder Dam, is a concrete arch gravity dam in the Black Canyon of the Colorado River on the border between Arizona and Nevada. Hoover Dam impounds Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in the United States by volume. Hoover Dam was constructed between 1931 and 1936 during the Great Depression and was dedicated on September 30, 1935 by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Its construction was the result of a massive effort involving thousands of workers and cost over 100 lives. The dam was named after President Herbert Hoover. Hoover Dam is the highest concrete dam in the Western Hemisphere, standing at more than 725 feet above the Colorado River, with 17 generators producing 4 billion kilowatts of electricity a year. It also is one of the country's largest hydroelectric power facilities. Named one of the top 10 construction achievements of the 20th century, Hoover Dam now has a bypass bridge 900 feet above the Colorado River. Enjoy the tour, and here comes the loud cruise boat horn. Here we go! And now you'll hear our tour guide talk about the history of Lake Mead and the Hoover Dam.
As the Anasazi way of life disappeared, native peoples, such as the southern Paiute, once more roamed the desert mountains and valleys. The Paiutes adapted to the desert so well that their lifestyle in 1850 was almost identical to that of their ancestors who had lived here 10,000 years earlier. The Paiutes roamed in small family groups, harvesting the fruits of the higher desert in the spring, other desert plants in the summer, and gathering together in the nearby mountains in the fall to harvest piñon nuts and to hunt deer and bighorn. These gatherings were also a time of rituals and socializing for the whole Paiute people, as it was the only time of the year the many small groups would congregate. The Paiute flourished by making the most of what limited resources were available. Yet, interestingly, the river was not as important to them as it was to another major Native American tribe, the Mojave. The Mojave, whose territory included the Lake Mojave area just south of Lake Mead, lived along the river, and their lifestyle was closely tied to it. The Mojave were one of several tribes who shared a common language and bond with the river. Collectively, the tribes were called the Yuman people. The Yuman enjoyed a relatively easy, relaxed life, cultivating corn, beans, and squash in the rich soils along the riverbanks where the Colorado would overflow and then recede. Fishing the river was an easy source of protein, easy enough so that hunting in the highlands was as much a pastime as it was a necessity. As with the Paiute, the Mojave flourished until the arrival of the white man. In the 19th century, this area once again would be changed, now by the arrival of American explorers. Although legend tells of Spanish explorers passing near this part of the Colorado River as early as 1540, the first documented arrival of the European explorers was in 1826 when Jedediah Smith, looking for new areas to trap beaver, led a small group of trappers down the Virgin River to the Colorado, following its course as far south as the present location of Needles, California. Smith's journey paved the way for other explorers to follow. As agriculture and development grew along the Colorado, the cycle of flood and drought had to be controlled. After the floods of 1905 and 1906, the Bureau of Reclamation was given the task of controlling the mighty Colorado. They surveyed over 70 possible sites for a dam to control the river. By 1919, only 2 possibilities, Boulder Canyon and Black Canyon, remained. After 5 years of further study, it was determined that Black Canyon would be the site of the most ambitious engineering project in history, the damming and control of the Colorado River. By choosing Black Canyon instead of Boulder Canyon, the engineers not only chose a site that was more geologically stable, but also increased the size of the Lake Mead Reservoir by 1/3 without additional cost. That extra 1/3 became the Boulder Basin of Lake Mead, where we are cruising today. With the location of the dam site determined, two tasks faced the federal government. One, of course, was the engineering and construction of the dam itself. The other, just as important, was determined where the captured water would go. 6 different states and Mexico had to agree, and it took several years before the Colorado River Compact in 1922 settled the issue. The compact paved the way for the Boulder Canyon Project Act of 1928, which provided the funding for the dam in Black Canyon. The act allocated $175 million for construction and stipulated that the money be paid back plus 3% interest within 50 years. The idea was that the dam would generate electricity and sell it to generate revenue. By 1976, the dam had grossed close to $400 million, returning over $200 million to the government. In 1986, final payment was made, and believe it or not, a federal project had completely paid for itself. In the 20s, as plans for the dam in Black Canyon progressed, the project was widely known as Boulder Dam because of the Boulder Canyon Project Act. The name stuck, even though Congress officially named it Hoover Dam in 1930. The dam was named for Herbert Hoover because he was responsible for overseeing the complex water rights negotiations when he was Secretary of Commerce in the 1920s. Boulder Dam continued to be the most used name, however, and in 1947, President Truman asked Congress to decide just what the legal name was. It was, and still is, Hoover Dam, although even today, both Boulder and Hoover are used. As we approach the Black Canyon entrance itself, keep a sharp eye on the hills off the starboard side. If you're lucky, you might spot one of the native desert bighorn sheep. One of the largest herd of desert bighorn sheep in Nevada makes its home here at Lake Mead. About the size of a white-tailed deer with a white patch on its rump and the distinctive curly horn, the animals feed on the small amounts of green vegetation you can see. To spot one, look for the white patch, as the bighorns feed facing uphill. If you spot one, keep an eye on it, and you'll be amazed at how easily they seem to move up and down the steep slopes. Their hooves are padded, and they act almost like Velcro on the rocks and cliffs, allowing the easy movement. The bighorn, which journey as far as Boulder City for food, are more often spotted in the cooler times of the year, when they travel further down the cliffs. In a moment, we will turn the corner into Black Canyon itself, and we will be over the original course of the Colorado. At that point, the lake is 500 feet deep, and the cliffs tower 1,000 feet above us. Before building the dam, some of the most violent rapids on the Colorado were found in the 25 miles of Black Canyon. As we enter the canyon, we'll tell you more about Hoover Dam.
I hope you have enjoyed this Lake Mead cruise to Hoover Dam. Thanks for watching!